Picture this. The year is 1989, and a young normie and his friends are driving to see a new movie called Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure, starring a very skinny young actor named Keanu Reeves, which we all found very funny. As we move through the 90s, Reeves shows up in other good films, like Point Break, Bill and Ted's Bogus Adventure, Speed, and The Devil's Advocate. However, it was 1999's The Matrix, in which he starred as Neo, that seemed to put him on the precipice of becoming a superstar. But the rest of the Matrix movies, the mediocre Matrix Reloaded and the terrible Matrix Revolution, seemed to put a stop to this momentum. And his next several films, well, they don't really stand out much. I mean, Constantine is pretty good, but 47 Ronin and The Day the Earth Stood Still, these are flops and pretty bad. So it appeared after 30 years of acting, the star was fading on Keanu Reeves. That all changed in a big way with the 2014 release of John Wick. Made on a small budget of $30 million, the movie was seen as a huge comeback for Reeves, playing to his strengths as an actor. It was not only a commercial success, but a critical one as well. And man, it's hard to believe that this person turned into this person. And as with every successful film these days, it launched a series of sequels. John Wick 2 in 2017 and John Wick Chapter 3 Parabellum in 2019. Now, the production budget for these first three movies combined was only around $140 million. And that's about half of the budget of a modern superhero action film. However, these three movies have made close to $600 million, which is over 4 times their budget. Also, they have cemented Reeves as a bona fide superstar. And while too many of your modern-day actors and actresses are vapid narcissists who feel it's their job to lecture us common folk on virtue despite their own horrible failings as people, Reeves seems to be an incredibly decent human being who understands that he is an entertainer and who quietly goes about his life without hypocrisy. So personally, I feel that his status as a superstar is well deserved. So this past weekend brought us John Wick Chapter 4. You know, it's hard to maintain quality over several films. Look at the Indiana Jones franchise. Kind of fell apart with the 4th movie. And in Keanu Reeves' own Matrix franchise, films 3 and 4 are virtually unwatchable. So then what of Chapter 4 here? Is this where it all comes crashing down? Or can it buck the trend? Before we answer that, let's talk a little about the plot. Now, I'll try not to spoil it for you, but there may be some minor spoilers that are unavoidable. So, our story begins many months after the events of Chapter 3, where we see John Wick fully recovered from being thrown off a roof in the previous movie. He is in the presence of the Bowery King once again, and the Bowery King is again played by Lawrence Fishburne. John is ready to continue his quest to kill off the members of the High Table, a mysterious criminal organization that has marked him for death following his actions in Chapter 2. The Table, however, has taken the threat of John Wick very seriously and has sent the Marquis, played by Bill Skarsgård, after him. The Marquis will do anything he can to track John down, moving through people in John's life who may protect him, such as Winston and the concierge at the Continental New York. These once again played by Ian McShane and Lance Reddick. Then Kane, a blind High Table assassin and an old friend of John's, played by Danny Yen. Then Shimazu Koji, the manager of the Osaka Continental, played by Hiroku Sanada. Many new characters are also introduced throughout this film, such as the Tracker, a bounty hunter pursuing John, Killa, the head of the German High Table, played by Scott Atkinson, and the Harbinger, a high-ranking operative of the High Table, played by Clancy Brown. The action takes us to many locales, from New York to Japan to Berlin, and finally to Paris, where the entire movie culminates. Once again, directed by Chad Stahelski, who had helmed the first 3 movies, Chapter 4 clocks in at nearly 3 hours long. So does it work? Is John Wick Chapter 4 another example of a franchise crashing and burning, or did it all come together? Well, let me tell you something. It not only works, but it might be the strongest film in the series. It's bigger, bolder, slicker, and longer, featuring nearly more spectacular set pieces than any one movie should be able to handle, but handle them it does. Every character feels well fleshed out. Reeves is again masterful as Wick. Ian McShane is given more to do in this movie as Winston, and he rises to the occasion. Bill Skarsgård is completely menacing as the Marquis, but really no one does menacing as good as a Skarsgård. Donnie Yen is absolutely brilliant as Kane. I mean, honestly, you can't take your eyes off him when he's on the screen. And if they made a spin-off with him and this character, I would go see it. Meanwhile, Shamir Anderson, who plays the Tracker, Lawrence Fishburne, and Clancy Brown are fantastic, as was Lance Reddick, who sadly died last week at the too young age of 60. Having the same director for all 4 films helps keep the continuity going. You can tell that Stahelski was trying to up the ante from the previous movies, and he successfully does this. And the set pieces, like the Arch de Triomphe scene, the overhead room-to-room scene, and the staircase scene near the end, will have you on the edge of your seat. Now, you don't go into a John Wick movie for long scenes of great dialogue. You go into a John Wick movie for breathtaking action scenes, well shot, well choreographed, and this film delivers these in full. So let's give John Wick Chapter 4 an impressive 8 out of 10 and an absolute recommendation. And while it is much longer than its previous 3, you never feel bored. So go to your theaters to see this. It's visually stunning, and you will appreciate it so much more if you do so. But you probably need more than one snack, so load up those pockets, people, and buy the large soda. Treat yourself. And lastly, if you like what you heard, click the like button, subscribe, leave a comment, or share this with a friend. And if you did not like what you heard, I thank you for listening anyway. See you next time.